Manly Hall Official is glad to produce, publish and offer Analysis of the Book of Revelation by Manly P. Hall. Introduction. Of all the books that under general conditions are not read by occult students, the Bible is probably the most neglected. In the Western world, for which the Bible has been written, we study all other sacred books of the world, while under general conditions the so-called heathen reads and understands our Bible better than most theological students. If you're enjoying this video and finding value in the content, we kindly ask you to take a moment to subscribe to the channel. A large portion of our listeners and viewers haven't subscribed yet, and by doing so, you'll help us grow and continue bringing you more high-quality audiobooks. Your support means a lot to us, and it's just one click away. So, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay connected and never miss out on our latest releases. Among the books of the Bible, there is none that contains as much information to the mystic student as the Book of Revelation. The reader of the Bible sees in this book only a strange jumble of symbols that he gives up the study with a gasp of despair. We cannot, in the limited time that we have, go into the complete study of Revelation, but all of the various symbols can be understood if the student of the mystic arts will look at the wonders of the internal and external universe, and through the law of analogy, trace, in the wonders of natural progression, the mystery of the development of his own soul. The Christian will, in some future time, be he psychologist, mystic, occultist, or metaphysician, awaken to the fact that the book he now casts aside as being second to other writings is the one book that explains to him fully the path that the Western student must take to reach the feet of the Liberator, the 13th member of the Mystery School. Lesson 1. Subject: the Lamb of God. Let us read some of the wonderful symbolism of the Lamb that is given in the Book of Revelation. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all of the world. And he, the Lamb, came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps, and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue, and people and nation. Few of us realize the great mystery of the Lamb, that immortal Son Spirit who was crucified for man, and is day by day giving his own life that man may not fall below the standard that the universe demands of her children. That wonderful Christ Spirit, the voice that speaks from within ourselves, whose sorrowing eyes light up with gladness when we take the path that leads to light, whose trembling body shudders with mortal agony when we thrust the spear of passion deep into his soul, whose every word is a prayer, and every thought a blessing. Someday you will know this crucified one within yourself, and when you see his suffering eyes filled with the glory of divine love, when you see him who ever prays for you while your egotism and selfishness are driving the nails that crucify him, then indeed you will bow before his throne and add your voice to those who say, Behold the Lamb of God, slain for the sins of the world. The book of the 7 seals is life. The seals are the gateways of initiation that lead upward to the feet of the Liberator. And who is worthy to unseal that book, the only book that contains the true mysteries of creation? The answer is, only the Lamb, the one being in all the world that we do not think of. Unless we develop ourselves by following in the footsteps of Christ by living the life of purification and service, we cannot create power, for under the symbol we now waste our energies in the furtherance of selfishness. When we take the life forces of God and misuse them, the Lamb becomes the ram of passion, but when we have purified ourselves and covered Scorpio, the seat of the passions, with the lambskin apron of the initiate, pure as the driven snow, then indeed do the 24 elders bow down before the throne, and the Christ within opens one by one the seals of nature's book, and man's lower bodies bow down as faithful servants before the Spirit that walks among the candlesticks. And the world now hears a voice, as of one crying in the wilderness, "Prepare the way of the Lord and make his path straight." The animal man, represented by John the Baptist, dressed in the skins of animals and wandering in the wilderness, is seeking light. The lower man, praying for the coming of the Lamb, must realize that within he must build that purified one, that taketh away the sins of the world. Lesson 2. Subject: the star that fell from heaven. In connection with this lesson we will read from the 9th chapter of the book of Revelation. "And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power." God and the devil, or Lucifer, are without doubt the most abused beings in the universe at the present time. All of our sickness, inharmony, and crimes are laid upon the shoulders of one of these two, and thousands and millions of people point them out as the cause of present, past, and future woes and suffering. When we are sick, we are told that the Lord willed it so. When we die of indigestion, it was the Lord calling us home. When the senses dim and old age claims us, it is the will of God that we should go around with lumbago and dropsy. Nothing can show less religion or a greater lack of common sense than such a doctrine. Then again, when I take it into my head to kill someone, it is the devil who is to blame. If I fail to fill the shoes of life, then, of course, it is the powers of darkness that are to blame, until at last, after a careful analysis of this theology, we find that the celestial beings are all sinners, and man, made of the dust of the earth, is the only perfect creature in the universe. The students of true religion must learn to realize that neither God, nor the devil is responsible for the ups and downs of their lives, but that they themselves are to blame for every inharmony that makes their lives what they should not be. The great God of the universe is a God of absolute justice with mercy, and no one has ever suffered or ever will suffer unless he at some time has wronged others to the same degree. Then who is it of which Milton, the poet, spoke when he said, "Him the almighty power hurled headlong, flaming from the ethereal sky, with hideous ruin and combustion down to bottomless perdition, there to dwell in adamantine chains and penal fire." Who, then, is Lucifer, the son of the morning, the most beautiful star in all the heavens, who was barred from heaven by his actions? The answer is he is man, whose spiritual consciousness descending through the worlds of space, has by the passions of life changed the great Lucifer energy, the dynamic power that keeps the worlds in their orbits and gives to him his blood and power and expression, into a devil of lust, greed, and passion. Far down in the centers of emotion and selfishness, man is chaining the son of the morning. Those who do not in their lives here transmute this great energy of Mars into constructive powers, then blame the devil for the things that they themselves are responsible for even the devil himself is created by man. When man lifts this spiritual fire upward within himself, then Lucifer, the star of the morning, the creative energy of God, shines out as the new star of Bethlehem and tells of the coming of the Master within, and the great fire spirit casting off the bonds imposed on him by man returns to the throne of God from which he was cast down. Then, and then only, will man's great debt to Lucifer be paid. Lesson 3. Subject: the measure of a man. The quotation around which we are going to build this lesson is taken from the 11th chapter of the book of Revelation, the first verse. "And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar and them that worship therein." Most of us in a hazy way realize that we are the living temple of the living God, but few of us have ever taken the time to measure our temple and see if it is true to the rule of God. Among the ancients, we find that a cube block is used to symbolize man. First, in the undeveloped man, the block is symbolized as being rough and uncut, but in the developed man, it has been trued and the uneven parts have been chipped away. In the cube, all of its dimensions are equal, and the same must be true in the spiritual man. The mind, and the heart, the will and the emotions, must all be balanced, and the spiritual faculties, the true man, must have expression through a body which molds itself without hesitation into the necessary expression of the spirit. It is necessary for us each day to go over our lives and with the measuring rod measure ourselves to see if we are still true to the principles which we have set for our lives. In this plan of nature which shrouds the higher man in the cloak of materiality, it is very difficult to measure ourselves and find out our true worth. We are apt to measure according to the things of this world alone, and that in truth is but a small part of the true building. The building is composite, made up of thousands of smaller parts, each of which must be carefully considered if a true measurement is to be the result. If day after day we measure our minds and hearts and find them no greater today than they were yesterday, then we are falling behind in the great race of life. If tomorrow we find that we are making the same mistakes that we made today, then we are failing in our duty to our God and ourselves. It requires never-ending watchfulness to protect ourselves against the danger of crystallization that confronts every student of the higher sciences. Most of the students are looking forward to the time at the end of this earth life wave when we will be superhuman. This is a mistaken idea because it will take us to the end of this day of manifestation to become truly human. We at the present time are far below the true human state, for to be truly human is to reach a state of perfection undreamed of at the present time. Therefore, there are no students, never mind how great they may be, nor how much development they have gained, who have reached a position of security, where it is no longer necessary for them to take the rule of life and measure themselves and see if they are really as developed as they think that they are. Therefore, friends, take your rods and measure your temple, see if you are so feeding your bodies that they may best express your higher principles, see if your mind is as broad as you know it should be, see if your thoughts measure up to the spirituality that you profess, see if your temple is great and grand enough to furnish proper surroundings for the spirit it contains. If it is not, take the necessary steps to expand it, and if it is, measure again tomorrow, and see if it has increased to contain the things you did not know before. For you, when you pass behind the veil, will also be measured not by your ideals, but by the temple that these ideals have built to the living God. Lesson 4. Subject: the Feast of the Bridegroom. In the 19th chapter of Revelation, the 7th, 8th, and 9th verses, we find references made to the marriage of the Lamb. Especially in the 9th verse, where it says, *******, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. *****. Few of us realize that the ceremony of marriage, which is now celebrated in some way in every nation of the world, has any hidden meaning concealed beneath the material ritual. But as is the case with every other important thing in life, it has a hidden side, which, when understood, changes our viewpoint entirely. In the cults that are coming into the world at the present time, we find the problem of soulmates coming to the fore, and many great and truly spiritual works have come to naught because of the misunderstanding of this vital problem. The marriage of the Lamb spoken of in the Bible, that wonderful ceremony told of by John, in his Revelation, is a mystic marriage, a spiritual ceremonial that forms one of the greatest periods in the life of a student. Each of us are twofold in our natures. We are both male and female, or positive and negative. In this world period, we come back into life time and time again, taking first one and then the other pole to manifest through. When we come into the world as a man, we also have within the female pole, but for that particular life, the male body predominates. Now it is through these two poles that the two paths of initiation wind in and out. One path, that of the heart, intuition, is female, while the other, the mind, or reason, is masculine. Now the soul mate for whom the student seeks is not without, but within. For in truth, man is complete in himself, but at all times in this stage of evolution, one part of his nature is in abeyance. The mystic marriage, the alchemistic marriage, the marriage of the sun and moon, the true ceremony of which the physical union that we know is but the symbol, is the marriage within man of these two principles of the heart and mind. It is the marriage of the spirit when the two parts of itself, so long unequal, are by the development of the individual and the lifting of consciousness, joined in an everlasting union. From the union of these two principles within is born a child, of an immaculate conception, who is the Christ within. For many ages, our world has been governed by a patriarchy, and in marriage, the husband has been considered the master of the home. While in the world without, we find the same thing. The mind has been master. With reason and science, man has governed the world. The heart and the intuition have, in the majority of humanity, been lost. The result is that now the spiritual paths of service and brotherhood, which come on the heart ray, are now seeking mastership, and in consequence of this, the woman is coming to the foreground. Let the student remember that the mastery of either destroys the usefulness of both, but that the heart and mind united in spiritual wedlock is the only path that leads to God. These that we see among us are all equal. Man is no greater than woman, woman is no greater than man, in the last analysis, for they are both forms of that which is formless, and each is manifesting one side of their nature, and, as they grow in understanding, will change to the other side, and will continue to do so until at last the great spiritual marriage makes them both one, as they were in the beginning. Lesson 5. Subject: the New Jerusalem. We will read from the first 3 verses of the 21st chapter of Revelation, as this gives us the best description of the New Jerusalem. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with man, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and be their God. In one of the ancient books, this world that we now live in is called the son of necessity, and such indeed it is. It is a certain plane of consciousness necessary to those who are developing upon it. The various worlds that interpenetrate each other form our system differ in only one particular, and that is the rate of vibration to which they are attuned. Each of these exterior worlds is correlated to man by a body within himself. He at the present time has 4 bodies or suits of clothing over the higher spiritual essence which he calls the I. Now, at the present time, the body that is the most perfectly formed is the physical body, or that which we see and name. The next one is the etheric body, which is also well formed and will be the next one for man to use. He will never be able to use this body, however, on this plane of consciousness, as it is attuned only to the etheric regions, which are 1 degree of vibration higher than the one we are now functioning in. When the majority of humanity have, by purification and right living, reached a certain stage in development, they will incorporate their lower body into the higher by lifting the vibration of the lower and will function in a new body, which will be the new temple or the New Jerusalem. This will occur when the lower has been done away with or has been transmuted into the next above. Then there is another temple, built without hands, where the voice of the workman is not heard, like the temple of Manson and the servant in the house. It is a temple built by service and action. Every good deed builds a stone into its walls, every kind thought adds luster to it. It is the temple of the soul. The individual has, by his daily life, thus built the only temple acceptable in the sight of God. There God dwells with man, because through his life of service and action, he, the individual, has attuned himself to the infinite. Here is a great thought, for those who can comprehend it. Those who would know God must be like him. Those who want the powers of God must use them as he uses them. Those who want to have the exalted position that he holds must learn to love as he loves. who weeps over even a sparrow's fall. As the student goes down the path of life, let him remember that every obstacle met and mastered means a step forward. Every undesirable trait transmuted helps to build in him that new body which he will sometime use, while those who try to avoid these responsibilities have built nothing and must do without that body until, through suffering and pain, they have learned to build the temple they now wish someone else to raise for them. For we cannot go in until we ourselves have built that new Jerusalem that descends from heaven, as a bride. Copyright 2025 by Manly Hall Official. Thank you for listening. Please consider to subscribe, like, and share, to help the channel growth, new videos on a daily basis.